Roll for Crit is made possible thanks to the support of viewers like you and our patrons on our Patreon page.
You can become a patron for just $1 a month at patreon.com/rollforcrit. Hello and welcome to Roll for Crit. Of course, you know Gloomhaven, one of the most successful modern board games, hot on the heels of their new starter level version of the game, Jaws of the Lion, and in advance of Frosthaven, the bigger sequel to Gloomhaven, which is coming out next year sometime. We have learned that they are going to be publishing a comic book in the Gloomhaven world. It's called Gloomhaven Fallen Lion. It's being published by Ox-Eye Media. It is a one-shot comic set to be released at the end of the year, late December 2020, and it centers around the mercenary group, the Jaws of the Lion, that was introduced in the Jaws of the Lion board game. They've had a job that's gone wrong, and apparently it has something to do with a mind thief, one of the former members of the Jaws of the Lion, who has caused things to run amok somehow. Of course, Gloomhaven has a narrative in it. There's a lot of story-based content that you uncover as you progress through the campaign, whether it be in the original game or in Jaws of the Lion. But this will be the first time it's been adapted to another type of media. So what do you think, Will? What would your hopes and dreams be for this Gloomhaven Fallen Lion comic, or what do you expect from it?
Because I'm human and think the world revolves around me, I'm thinking this is a call out to us who said we weren't too crazy about the story from original Gloomhaven. They're like, we're going to give you story, all right? It's going to be a comic. But in all seriousness, I liked the characters of Jaws of the Lion more because you didn't actually switch them out. So they were a bit more connected with some of the weird stuff that can come up. Like, this is not too spoilery, but the example, the Demolitionist, which you played as, if you recall, you were actually hired to destroy a haunted, cursed building.
Right, had a little side quests kind of a thing, yeah.
So there is more involving those characters. So now I'm a little worried, though, because it is called the Fallen Lion, which
That's
means
right, yeah.
probably not going to end well with that for at least some of them.
Yeah, I wonder how closely it will stick to any of that. Like, will it acknowledge things that happen in that game as canon, or those particular characters that you play as? Because obviously a mind thief plays a big part in the comic, it sounds like, but it's not something you can play as in Jaws of the Lion.
You can in Gloomhaven because that's what you started as.
I guess, and I should say, technically, you can play as it in Jaws of the Lion, but you would have to take it out from the original Gloomhaven and mix those two things together. It's not included in the box.
Are you allowed to?
I don't see why
it's never occurred to me because it's like
it's your game.
In the box.
You can buy it and do whatever you want. I wonder exactly how it will explore those things. But I agree with you. I mean, as we've said, we've mentioned how we haven't always been, I don't think that the thing that draws people into Gloomhaven is the plot, but I do think, like you said, what is enticing is the world. And I really like the ideas of the different kinds of monsters and classes that you can play as. I think those are very innovative and interesting. So I'd be interested to see what they do with all that stuff.
The thing I'm hoping to come from this is more of just a general growth from board games, not just to be like, look, board games exist, but to go into other media. Right now, one of the biggest properties in the world that's doing that is Magic the Gathering, and they got a Netflix show coming, but I wouldn't say, or D&D, honestly, they got a movie coming, but their track record hasn't been amazing, unless you really love that old cartoon. I mean, it's not the cartoon everyone says is like, you need to watch this. This is amazing,
Yeah, we've had a few like little board game comics here and there, but certainly it's not on the level of video games or comic books in terms of being adapted to other media. We have not hit that threshold yet at all. But maybe, I don't know, do you think this will be a thing? Do you think people will see this comic and want to play the game? Or do you think this will be more geared towards people who are already fans of the board game?
I want to say it's still geared more towards the people who are picking up the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, because it's connected to that. And that way it's like, oh, look, there's a story behind it too. And I mean, it also, this is, tinfoil hat time, connecting with the thing I said before. It now means there's a story that a movie could be based off of. I mean, Cowboys versus Aliens, they literally made a comic just to pitch the movie. So,
yeah.
But I mean, Gloomhaven was one, as you said, was one of the best-selling games. So it's like, here's a comic, and look, we made millions on Kickstarter. So hopefully that would help entice some eyes. Because look, at least Gloomhaven has some weird, interesting monsters. You know, I don't think I mean, maybe you could call an Inex a troll if you want to be very generic about it.
Is that how you say it? Probably not.
I'm sure it's not how I say it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But the Mind Eater, I'm blanking.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But
the Mind Thief, you mean?
Mind Thief, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the exact name, but they're like rat people. But we don't, even though those exist in D&D, well, I don't think we've ever really seen them in like movies and stuff.
No, yeah.
So it's still
different.
Could be different enough that it doesn't feel like, oh, another generic fantasy thing for other people to see. So I think that's why I think Gloomhaven could maybe catch the eyes of a more general population.
There's definitely room for that kind of a thing. I think fantasy fans could get into it, find this could be a different avenue in for some of those people who aren't gamers.
And I will point out also, since they have the comic, it's not strictly based on a book, so you don't go like, why didn't that character die? He dies in page 5, or did they finish the book yet? Because I think the way that author's going to write the book will be better than the end of the series.
Yeah, you don't have that problem at all. As far as I know, there's not going to be anything included in this comic in terms of game content. There's no promo card. There's no, I don't know, unless there's some secrets in there we don't know about.
They didn't do what
Rising Sun did it, right? They had a Rising Sun comic which had a card in it.
I think actually they also is Rising Sun, Cthulhu, Death May Die, and I think Zombicide. Yeah, I think that for multiple series.
I think Dead of Winter had a comic as well that I think maybe had a card come with it.
Yeah, wasn't it based on the dog?
Yeah, Sparky the dog. And I think that this is going, right now they said this is just going to be a one-shot, so not a continuing series or anything. But who knows, maybe if it sells really well, maybe they would return to it. Oxeye Media I'm not familiar with any of their other stuff, so I don't know about the quality or history of the writing and art from the studio, but I think it's cool. I like that it's maybe an independent studio and it's not one of the big names. Maybe that'll give them a little more freedom to do something maybe a little more interesting, a little more unique kind of a take on it.
I don't know. If we went into Marvel, maybe we get to see Iron Man playing Gloomhaven.
We don't. I'm not even going to humor that one with the response. So Gloomhaven Fallen Lion, the comic releases December 30th, 2020. So it can be a New Year's present or a late Christmas present if you want, or Hanukkah, whatever you got happen in the end of this year. If we all make it to the end of 2020, I guess.
I was going to say world conditions may vary.
Yes, but let us know in the comments. Are you looking forward to it? Do you like the Gloomhaven storyline? What would you like to see in this comic, or maybe even other media from the world of Gloomhaven? My name is Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit. We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
For legal reasons, we've got to disclose we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with more awesome content.